Rumpelstiltskin. Once there was a poor man who ran a mill for grinding wheat. The man lived with his daughter, who was very beautiful. One day, the man was out riding when he came across the king. The man wanted so badly to impress the king, and without really thinking it through, he blurted out, "I have a daughter who knows how to spin straw into gold." Now, the king loved gold more than anything in the world. So he ordered the man to send his daughter to the castle right away. When the girl arrived at the castle, the king led her to a room that was filled with straw. He had his servants bring her spools and a spinning wheel, and said, "I will give you 1 night. If you have not spun this straw into gold by morning, you will die." And then he locked the door, leaving the girl alone in the room with the spinning wheel, the spools, and the straw. The poor girl did not know what to do. She had no idea how to spin straw into gold. Each passing moment brought her closer and closer to the morning. She knew that when the king returned and found a room full of straw, he would have her killed. She put her face in her hands and began to weep. Suddenly, the door opened and the strangest-looking man popped into the room. He was tiny, with a wide-brimmed black hat and pointy little shoes. He swept his hat off his head and bowed. "Good evening, miss. Can I help you in any way?" The girl continued to cry. "No one can help me. The king has commanded me to spin all of this straw into gold. When morning comes and the king sees this room is full of nothing but straw, he will have me killed." "If I was to spin all this straw into gold for you, what would you give me?" the little man asked. The girl answered, "I do not have much, but I do have this necklace my mother gave me. I can give you the necklace." The strange little man took her necklace and sat down at the spinning wheel. He pulled 3 times on the wheel. The wheel spun. The man's hands moved quickly, and soon the first spool was wound full of gold thread. He started working on another spool, and then another, and by morning, all the straw was spun and all the spools were full of gold. In the morning, the king came. He was thrilled when he saw all the gold, and he had his servants gather it up. But he was also greedy, and so he led the girl into another room filled with even more straw. Once again, he warned her, "Spin all of this straw into gold by morning, or you will be punished with death." Once again, the girl did not know what to do, and once again, she put her hands to her face and wept. And just like the night before, the same little man swept into the room and asked her, "What will you give me if I spin this straw into gold for you?" The girl answered, "I do not have much, but I do have this ring my father gave to me. I will give you the ring." So, the little man took the ring off her finger and then sat down at the wheel. Soon enough, all of the straw was gone, and in its place, there was gold. The girl fell asleep among the piles of gold, and that is where the king found her in the morning. But the king was still not satisfied. He led her to an even bigger room. with 3 times as much straw as any of the others. And he told her, "Tonight, you must spin this straw into gold, and this time, if you do as I command, you shall become my queen." When the king had left, the little man appeared for the 3rd time. "What will you give me if I spin this for you yet once more?" he asked. "I have given you everything I have," the girl replied. "There is nothing else." The little man replied, "Then promise me that when you become queen, your first child will belong to me." The miller's daughter gasped. How could she promise such a thing? But she knew there was no other way. And so she promised the little man that she would give him her first child. Once again, the man sat himself down at the spinning wheel. His hands moved faster than ever, and once again, by morning, the room had been filled with gold. When the king saw that all of his wishes had been fulfilled, he married the girl, who was really quite beautiful and kind, and worthy of being a queen. A year passed, and the queen gave birth to a handsome baby boy. The queen had forgotten about her promise, but the little man had not. One day, while in her private room, the queen heard a noise. Psst! She looked up, and there, high on a shelf, was the little man. "Give me what you promised," he demanded. The queen begged the little man, "Please, I will give you gold. I will give you silver, as much as you can carry. But please, let me keep my baby." But the little man refused. The queen continued to beg, until at last the little man said, "I will make you a deal. I will give you 3 days. If before 3 days are over, you can tell me my name, you may keep the child." Long into the night, the queen sat, and all through the next day in her mind she went through all of the names she had ever heard. That evening, the strange little man returned. "Is your name Adolphorus?" the queen asked. "No," said the little man. "Is it Brian?" she asked. "No," he answered. "Is it Cornelius or Dimitri or Engelbert?" "No, no, no," the little man replied. The queen tried and tried, but to each name she proposed, the man's answer was the same, until she finally gave up, and the little man left her. The second night went the same way. "Is your name Ferdinand?" the queen asked. "No," the little man said. "Is it Gunther?" she asked. "No," he answered. "Is it Hannibal or Ignatius or Julius?" "No, no, no," the little man replied. And again, the man ran from the room laughing. The queen knew that she was running out of time. So she sent her most faithful servant into the woods to look for the little man. Out of the palace, through the woods, on the most winding paths, and deep into the forest. Finally, the servant spied the little man. He was riding on a cooking spoon around a great big fire and laughing as he sang out, "Today I brew, today I bake. Tomorrow the queen's own child I'll take. The queen can never win this game, for Rumpelstiltskin is my name." The servant made her way back to the castle as fast as she could. She told the queen the secret of the strange little man's name. Late that evening, the little man arrived back at the castle. "Now, my queen," he said, "this is your last chance to save your child. Can you tell me my name?" "Is your name Valentino?" the queen asked. No, the little man said. Is it Wolfgang? She asked. No, he said. Is it Xanthos, or Yeoman, or Zaranthashra? No, 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 the little man replied. The little man smiled, thinking he had won, but the queen smiled too. By any chance, she asked, is your name Rumpelstiltskin? You cannot know that! You cannot know that! Shrieked Rumpelstiltskin, but he knew he had lost. Furious, he jumped onto his spoon and rode right out the window. He was never heard from again. And the king and the queen and their beautiful little child lived happily ever after. The end.